You goddess, Hillary. Okay. Um, we feel as if we have to justify what we're saying. And Jackie says it's in her mind, but she's thinking for validation. Okay, sure. So we overtalk. We oversay the thing. We set our boundary and then we oversay it. Okay. Do you know what? That's the way we're made. That's the way God made us. Isn't that great? We are made to communicate. We're great to be emotional. But when it comes to saying our boundary, short, simple, direct. Yeah. And then type yes if you've ever, yeah, you guys have. Okay. And then honor your truth. I'm just reading my notes, but I'm getting off topic. So honor your truth. So live aligned with your boundaries. And when I say that, that can get confusing, right? But what I'm talking about is what are your values? Now, how many of you been corporate? Okay, how many of you have written your values in corporate? Were they really yours? I mean, let's get true here. Get true to yourself. What are your values? How many of you have a value that your family is everything? My value is my family is everything. Yeah, that's a value. Okay. How many of you have a value that I deserve to keep the shirt on my back, not give it to everyone else? Hey, here's an epiphany. We were raised and praised to self-sacrifice, to self-abandon, and to be codependents. We were raised and praised for that. But when we understand our preferences, our limits, and our deal breakers, and the ability to communicate them, did you get the last part? The ability to communicate them. Now we've got the point of power because we really know who we are. We're standing tall unapologetically. We live in cultures, ladies. I don't care where you are in the world. We live in a culture. Some cultures is a lot worse, where we're raised and praised for giving others the shirt off our back. And then our culture celebrates that.
Yeah, Laura, I'm curious, do you think it's a women thing? Because I have a feeling that men are not that apologetic, that men are not justifying themselves when they want something. And especially, I read recently in the corporate world that men often have even more confidence than they should, and they go for jobs that are maybe not for them, that they are underqualified for, and women do the opposite. Women, even though they are qualified for something, they still think, oh no, I'm not good enough for that, or maybe I will wait until I get better. I have sometimes feeling that men have much more confidence and
Yep.
less need to justify themselves or their needs or what they want because it's like more natural to them. While we, like you said, have this way of, oh, let's give everything to others and this is what makes us a good person and we will just sacrifice and put ourselves last and stuff like that. So I don't know.
So what you're talking about is a patriarchal culture, a culture that's masculine energy run by men, a culture where women are raised and praised for sacrificing, settling for less, applying for the job that is below them, not asking for more, not saying and taking positions of leadership and owning it because we get treated by men as being like men and by other women as having masculine energy. What? Why? Well, because we're raised and praised in every culture to self-sacrifice, self-abandon, and be codependent. And so standing in our truth and understanding ourselves, every single bit and piece of us, right? This is so valuable. Yes, 100% Petra, you are 100% correct. And we settle. And this also feeds into, drum roll, our relationship with money. Because there's no delineation between your relationship with money and your relationship with yourself. And are we celebrated in our culture for having this relationship with money as women? Yes. Yes, we are grow up in a culture that puts us to actually trains us to be subservient, that actually trains us that having too much makes you this kind of girl. Okay. So boys are raised to be confident and look out for themselves. That's exactly right. And so I think that feeds beautifully into what is the definition of boundaries. What are they? Well, it's a deal, but what are your limits? What are your preferences? When we don't know our preferences, what we love, what we need, when we have to say, hey, I'm sticking up for myself, it's going to come out angry. It's going to come out like, "Bleh," because I got all this stuff shoved down there that's just like ready to go, bleh, right? Oh boy, am I passionate about this. Woohoo! Hey, when I say I'm going to teach you about mindset, I'm not fooling around. Good job, ladies. You guys are just rocking it. Okay, so type a boundary you set or want to set. Share that in the comments. Start small. I mean, I think the important thing, and this is where I think, in fact, I know it's important for you guys to grab a boundary, a gifted boundary blueprint. This is something that I'll help you sort out when you schedule that with me. But it's good to know what is one boundary you really want to set. Okay. So yeah, I don't feel like I have to respond on my messages and Messenger, right? Anybody have that feeling like you've got all these emails, or I've got lots of stuff in LinkedIn. I work with a lot of leadership coaches and people in corporate, not a lot, 5 or 6. So it made it sound pretty good though, didn't I? But I've got all these messages that I haven't responded to yet of women who want to meet with me, and they're there. And here's another one. I want to set a boundary with my mom. She stops calling me nonstop, right? Yes, we want to set boundaries with parents, setting them, just not good at keeping them. So yeah, we can set our boundaries. How many of you have set a boundary? Just having trouble getting off the hamster wheel. You're not alone, of course. Sure. Okay, so boundaries. Here we go. When you say no, guilt whispers. You're not selfish, but you might hear that when you start feeling guilty after you set a boundary, and you're not letting people down. What's the exact sentence that guilt says to you when you set a boundary? Like, do you get the sentence? Maybe it's somebody's voice. Maybe it could be your mother. Maybe it could be, a teacher, a minister. Whose voice do you hear after you set a boundary that now you're feeling guilty? So put that in the chat. Oh, that's nice. I like that, Juanita. Almost all, okay. Yeah. Hillary, she guards her energy and doesn't apologize for saying no, I can't do that. Yeah. Any guilt ever come up any moment with that? Or maybe your chronic illness is getting in the way of your energy, and maybe you feel bad, and maybe yourself is giving you information. Your mom, yeah, setting these boundaries, feeling guilty, the voice of your mother. So when you're feeling a little guilty, it's really saying that you're growing and you're wanting to go back. The quick fix on this is understand that it's not a stop sign. It's a growth sign. Now, that's not going to get you anywhere, right? because you're still going to be going through hell. And guilt is a hell story. Anybody go through the hell of guilt? Once you say a boundary and you stand, if you stick to your guns, that's another reason why the inner circle is so important, is because when we have a group of women all in one space and we're talking, because that's what we're doing, women are saying, yeah, I said my boundary, and God, the guilt, it was so hard. And so I Voxer walkie-talkied Laura, and I said, hey, I'm going through this guilt thing, and I'm going to say to you, hey, let's sort this out. What's the story that your brain's making up? What is the truth? And in what way are you not going to show up for yourself? If you go say you're sorry, you're going to be back on that dysfunctional hamster wheel. So instead of I did something wrong, reframe, this is me growing into my power. Okay. So what's a guilt story that comes up for you? You know, my guilt story. Well, and then there's an anger story that could come up too, right? Because we're not used to saying no. So the guilt and anger kind of join hands, by the way. That's a little bit hard to understand, but in the mindset, as a mindset coach, I can help you navigate those feelings. But my guilt story, what I hear my mother saying, there you go again, wanting to get your way. There you go again, being the loudest kid in the room. There you go again, getting up on stage. Okay, so the guilt story, it's a natural thing, but you can beat it. It's the power that you give to it, and you must always come back to from your values. Okay, so from now on, guilt equals proof that you're stepping into your truth. Here is your anchor mantra or affirmation. And this is something you can write on a sticky note, on a 3x5 card. I do a lot of this in dream building and manifestation, but you write it and you put it somewhere where you're going to see it. For me, it's usually in my bathroom on the mirror. And the anchor is, this is not guilt, this is growth. This is not guilt, this is growth. How many of you have switched careers? Petra, I know you have, a little rock star. Jackie, Jolene, I think Jennifer, I think you've also, everyone has. And so, that feeling that you get when you shift a career, that kind of guilt feeling, or you don't have a job anymore, and that low-grade panic that stick comes in, understand the story, and the truth will really set you free. So understand that it's not guilt, it's growth. But anytime you're making a change that's painful, like when you change one business for another, maybe you got fired. Anyone ever get fired in here? How many times? All right. Oh, yay. Yay. We're over here. Come on over. Come on over, Jennifer. We're going to be over here. Those guys are over there. So, yeah, that's terrible. So the feeling of when you get fired, you're at the edge of your growth because that job didn't fit you anymore. When you pivot or change careers and it hurts like hell and all these little nasty Nancy's come in, that is an indication to you that you're at the very edge of growth. And as a mindset coach, I sit in the arena of the nasty Nancy's, what your brain is telling you. So in that moment, after you set a boundary, if it comes out harsh or angry, that is a number one indication that you need to now look at your self-care and not, gee, did I have a facial? How many of you had like traveled to like palatial retreats all over the world? Anybody have that experience? Or you have a massage or a facial, or you go and you have, you know, the pedicure because you think this is going to solve my problem, or you buy the special sauce. I'm going to get crystals in my water bottle because this is going to make me happy. It's going to make my brain, you know, do better. Anyone do that? Anybody have that experience? I got a shelf of stuff over here. True confession. I got a bunch of stuff over here. But only to come back to that same experience, that same feeling, that same thought, that same I'm still, you know, barking out stuff. Anyone have that? Let me know in the chat. Yeah, sure. Hang on. I have music, and when something moves in my office, the music goes off. I don't know why. Don't ask. It's weird. Okay, so now we're almost at the close here, and so who knows stronger boundaries will completely change your peace, your relationships, and your self-respect. Drop a hell yes in the chat if that's you. Drop a hell yes in the chat. Hell yes. Hey, that's me. Hell yes. All right. Hell yes. Yes. Hell yes. Hell yes. Hell yes. Yepper. Yep. I put hell should be hell. Yes, low. Jackie would yell. Hell yes. Woo-hoo-hoo. Okay. So here's what I have to say. Well, first of all, I'm going to share my schedule here. This is a part where you guys grab a boundaries blueprint session with me. Some of you I've met with, but we haven't done we haven't done a boundaries blueprint. So sign up for one. And so if you want to make your boundaries in alignment with making more money, write it down. That, you know, schedule the call. You'll say, okay, so Laura, my blueprint wants to be around making more money. Or hey, I want to be a leader. My boundary blueprint is going to be around being a leader. Guess what? Who do you think catches the most hell about being leaders, a female leader? How many of you stand on stage? Petra, you're a female leader. You can raise your hand. You are a female leader. Okay, how many of you have caught hell for being from other women that you are too masculine? Right? Guess what? That's an example of what we talked about earlier, where we are shamed and tamed to settle for less. Don't stand up, don't say your thing, don't feel confident, don't really know who you are and what you want, what you need, and say it confidently with love, right? That's really scary to other women. Check it out. When women talk about you behind your back, what does that mean? Yeah, good job, Jackie. We can't hear you. Ha ha ha. You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand and I'm going to demute you. When women are talking about you behind your back, what does that mean? When you are gossiping about somebody, what does that mean? You guys can raise your hand because I really want to hear what you have to say on this. Anybody? Anyone want to say what that means to them if someone's talking about you behind your back or you're gossiping about somebody else? Oh, they're missing something in themselves, Jackie says. Really? Get curious about that. Hillary, I hear that I'm pushy because I'm confident and grew up on the East Coast, but now I'm in passive aggressive Minnesota. But you're Minnesota nice. There's a message for you, ladies. Okay, they're not happy with themselves. Yeah, usually it's them, not us. You, yeah, hell yeah. Who says hell yeah? It's them, not us. It's them, you. Never get into that cycle when you're trying to set a boundary with your partner. Just coaching tip. Okay, I'm going to demute here. Yes, Hillary.
when when someone is really um petty and picky to somewhat like in the office, that ridiculousness going on. um I like to point out to the victim that the perpetrator must have a really sad life if they feel better by doing this kind of crappy behavior, and you know look upon them with a little bit of pity.
I think
And
that's really supportive and a very kind thing for you to say.
yeah.
And what I'll share with you guys, I think is really valuable is that when we're talking about other people behind their back or we're gossiping, that means we really have to set our boundaries. That's really what that says. When we're bragging about how much money we make, whether it's on Facebook or it's in person, what's that telling our audience?
For me, it tells the audience that they can try to come get more from me. If I'm successful and I put it out there, people around me think they can come and take more advantage.
Yeah, interesting. I think that is like a common sales technique, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll say sold or listed or whatever, but I don't brag about the financial sense anywhere
There
because
we
like I
go. There we
said,
go. Okay. So if you say,
I've been the weakest link and therefore I'm broke and I'm setting boundaries to not do that anymore.
okay, good. That's so there you go.
But
That's boundary blueprint
I
around
believe
money.
I believe that there is a difference because, for example, on Instagram or anywhere online or in person, even in real life, real life, there are people who are just arrogant and bragging because they just want to show off and they just want to be like, oh, look at me, I have a bunch of money and nobody else except me is capable to have that amount of money. But there are other types of people that are saying, listen up, I earn a lot of money, but so can you.
Well,
So can
listen
you. And
up.
I'm here to teach you how you can be the same. There are many people who are saying, I'm nothing special. I'm not smarter than you or
Yeah.
better than you or whatever. I have the skill and I can teach you. And those are totally different kinds of people. That's when this bragging is not bad.
Okay, so
That's
there you
how I
go. I think
understood.
what you're sharing, Petra, and what also Jolene's sharing, is that it's the way in which this is delivered.
Yeah,
Okay, it's the
and
way it's delivered.
I would also like to add that I completely agree with Hillary and what she said, because I do believe that everything that you say to others, you actually think about yourself. I have never in my life met a person that is happy, successful, confident, good person that is talking shit about others or making others feel bad or ugly or stupid or whatever. Never. I never ever met a, I don't know, let's say a pretty girl who really thinks that she's pretty and she's good with herself that would come to some other girl and say, listen up, you're really ugly. I mean, people who are happy with themselves just would never
Okay,
do that.
let's take a little dive on that. What does bragging about how much money you make, talking about people behind their back, um, even talking about how I made all this money and I can show you how. What does that tell you about their boundaries, these people's boundaries? See, that's the disconnect, isn't it? Because we don't recognize that boundaries are about our mindset and how we see ourselves. Leadership is about self confidence, and self confidence doesn't come from outside, it's an inside thing. And when we're bragging or gossiping, it's a direct indication that we have weak boundaries and we are insecure. A secure person has strong boundaries, and because you know who you are, you know what you're made of, with love, not with beating yourself up, you're now able to walk into a room confidently. And I don't have to walk into a room with, I don't have to walk into a room and tell you I make six figures. You know I make six figures because I come from that confidence. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I need. And in my relationship, I also come from the point of power of confidence. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I need. And I want to bridge this relationship with you. And you either come up to meet me or you stay where you are. Either way, I'm going to stand and say my boundary in a confident, straightforward, loving way. And now you can take that any way you want. And you know what? It doesn't bother me at all because I come back to who I am, what I want, how I stand in my power. So now Jolene is selling a house. She's going to tell you the number. You want to know that. She's got this is sales. But when we're talking about how we show up in a room as an expert, how much money you make is not going to position you as an expert. It's how you show up with your boundaries. So there is no delineation. Your boundaries are you, every single bit. Does that make sense? All right, nice job. Because guess what, guys? Here's the thing. How many of you had that experience where you go into the grocery store and the guy who's, ringing you up says, oh my God, you have so much light. What is that? What's going on with you? Who's had that? Who wants more of that? Hell yes. Let's do your boundary blueprint, okay? Grab my schedule, grab a time, let's do the thing. And so here's the deal. This is the part where I get to tell you about the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder Inner Circle. So here's what I do, is I put you first, and I'm going to tell you this is a low ticket offer. That way nobody's in a panic before you get into any space with me. Okay, so in the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder Inner Circle, it's a group we get together once a week. There's a workbook. There is a private Facebook group. Everything is housed in the private Facebook group because you know what? Some of us can't make it. Some of us are going to be on vacation. Some of us have, businesses and jobs. But we show up live on Zoom every week at this time. It's a Wednesday. Doors are opening October 15th. So what if you never had to stand in the shadow of others, waiting for your turn to be heard? What if you weren't reactive anymore and you really knew how to stand in your power? What I mean by that is you know who you are. You're confident. What if you had that every single day and the world showed up for you? Your relationships happened effortlessly, lovingly. Your success was effortless. What if you never felt guilty about saying no? What if you knew you had a little low-grade guilt, but you didn't give any power? It didn't matter. You still said your piece, and then you stood back. Wonder if you never spent another sleepless night replaying conversations, wishing you stood up for yourself. Has anybody had the experience of not sleeping at night because you're replaying over and over again? What have I done? How come I didn't do that right? How could I have done that better? Or maybe you're afraid to say your boundary to somebody because you're afraid they're going to not love you anymore, or they're going to blow up, and then you're going to lose it. Then what? Okay. So Hillary, you're right. You've got to support each other. We've got each other. So for those of you who have done, oh God, Jolene, thank you. She says, if you haven't done Royer Goss Boundary Builder, it's great help. And Jolene has made huge strides in her boundary setting since she did it the first time. And she's excited about it again.
Never too much education.
That's
Knowledge is
exactly.
power.
Yeah, and if those of you guys that got the email with Corey on it, anyone get that email today with Corey's testimonial? It's great. Corey, some of the women here know Corey, but Corey is I think she's a virtual assistant, but she is an incredible person. Okay, so what if we walked into every relationship and conversation with clarity, confidence, and calm? Hey guys, guess what? I got up at 5 this morning and I researched coming all the way up to our call today. And so we walk in with clarity, confidence, and calm. How would it feel to calmly speak your boundary from a place of emotional intelligence? Yeah. So would that feel great for your heart not to be racing like a rabbit? Or wonder if your heart is racing like a rabbit, but you're confidently speaking your thing anyhow. And you know what happens when you do that? Your brain hears it and goes, hell yes. And then you walk away and you know what happens next? What Thich Nhat Hanh calls apple juice thinking. You know, when you make apple juice, you put it in the thing and it's all pithy and all the really clear stuff will settle to the bottom. You leave that situation, that apple juice thinking is going to kick in, and you're going to go, oh my God, I feel a little bit of guilt, or maybe I'm a little bit afraid. And in the background, the course is going, hell yeah, you're doing great. Because you hear the Ware Gus Boundary Builder inner circle going, hell yeah, you're doing great. And you're going to finally have a proven system to set boundaries that feel natural, empowering, and guilt-free. It's not just going to be, okay, guys, here's number one, recognize what's going on. Number two, what are your feelings? That's all great. But now you're going to have a proven system. So I'm going to help you unpack your mindset around this. Because that's the one thing, whoever says to out loud, you know, I'm getting in my own way. I'm getting in my own way. That's your brain's way of saying, I'm not approaching this appropriately. That's what I do as a mindset coach. It's not this is, you know, this is a thing and it can keep us stuck on that hamster wheel. But if we really have a proven system of support with real proven coping skills, and you'll have a bunch of coping things you can do that when your heart is racing like a rabbit will allow you to say your thing. What if you had that? That's going to get you off that hamster wheel once and for all. That is really what will, I promise you, this will pivot you into success like you've never known before. I guarantee that. Because when women are able to come up, and this will feed into what Petra shared, when we're able to come up and ask for the same and stand in that and say, yes, I do deserve. Now, here's the thing. You might be a lone wolf, but you're going to be a confident, empowered leader. Leaders are lone wolves. Women see the leader like, oh my God, I want to look like that. I want to be like that, you know? And now you've taught other women how to set their boundaries. And then your children, your adult children, your little children see grandma, they see mom setting healthy boundaries. And they're like, oh my God, look how confident mom is. You know, mom, look at mom's health is really improving because she's positive, she's confident, she's feeling good. Okay. So, in closing, Royer Goddess Boundary Builder is a powerful system of support that's based on real tools that have been proven over time. And a great place to start, and something that I'd love to gift every single one of you, whether you jump into the inner circle or not, is the boundaries vision blueprint. Okay. It's a boundary blueprint. And so you grab that in my schedule. I will be checking in with you. I will be DMing you. This is an offer and this is a gift I have for you. And the offer is available for the next 48 hours. And so I would really love for you guys to pop into a call. Get doors open for the inner circle on October 15th. And I have space for 10 women only. I know, go figure. How American is that? I only have space for 10 women in the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder Inner Circle. And I guarantee you, you will have a white glove level of support that I give my signature clients. The cost of the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder Inner Circle is $800 USD for a 10-week coaching program. We meet live on Zoom. We have a private Facebook group. We have a workbook. You have Voxer unlimited walkie-talkie access to me. And I have a 4-payment system, so you don't have to cough up $800 at the beginning. So that sound good? Schedule your thing, raise your hand, and in closing, let's say hell yes to boundaries. Everybody in the chat, hell yes. We want more of this, right? Do you want more support, more women that are feeling the same way you are, more confident, self-empowered women? Raise your hand. All right. Woohoo! All right, you guys. When you feel a little bit of fear, know that fear says you're on the edge of your greatness. When you're noticing a little discomfort, you're on the edge of your greatness. Take the leap, get off the hamster wheel. This is a great opportunity. And this value of this coaching program is normally $1,600. This is the second pilot. All right. So you're the second group of women that are trying on the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder Inner Circle. And your comments, your feedback, you are the founding members. So I'm excited to hear from you. Does anybody have any questions for me? This is a Q&A section. We've got 10 minutes. Woohoo! Feel free to unmic. Questions?
So I kind of alluded to it online, and I'm sorry that I'm so vocal. I've done a lot of education and learning and exercise and health things and lots of stuff with Laura. I have. Luckily am blessed enough to live right in the same valley with her, which is, I'm sorry, you guys, I know you're all jealous. I get to hang out with Laura once in a while, but, or hike a mountain. But I can honestly tell you, since there's only room for 10 people, I'm going to hang back because I have already done Warrior Goddess. But girls, if you are still struggling with how or why or what when it comes to setting boundaries, literally this training, this class has literally sent me in leaps and bounds ahead of where I was a year. Well, I don't, whenever I did it, this last year has been so much better. Just learning those tools, you actually have to say, I'm paying $800 for this class. I want to get better, because it truly does become about all of us getting better. And these steps that you learn, as she keeps saying, in this Warrior Goddess Boundary program, will absolutely launch you personally and financially to your next level if you take it, learn it, use it. So that's just my testimony for those of you who haven't done it yet. It's a great class.
Unsolicited testimony. Thank you. And by the way, Jolene, please schedule a boundary blueprint with me?
I already did.
Yay! All
I
right.
just did it while we were on here.
Thank you.
So ladies, all you have to do is click on the link. It takes 2 seconds. It's really super easy. And
Thank
things
you.
take time. None of us are gonna learn overnight, but the more you can do with this and the more you can make yourself have it top of mind and actually practice it, you'll be shocked at what you learn. And I'm not going to say that it's easy and I'm not going to say that it's pretty. But if you're ready to take the leap, it really does work.
Thank you, Jolene. So Jolene started with me with Soul Vision Academy, which is the Dream Builder program. And we started together back in, oh my gosh, I think that was 2018. She was one of
Yeah.
my very first, when I got certified as a manifestation coach from Mary Morrissey, the Dream Builder. And I still coach Dream Builder. And then it's been really a lot of fun to watch you take your seat at the table of leadership. Standing in front of groups, I had an opportunity to hear you speak, which was awesome, and standing in your confidence. I've watched you master your boundaries with your mother confidently and with bravery. And I want you to know that you're an incredible woman, probably one of the strongest, most resilient, amazing women that I've had the honor and the blessing to serve. So I want to share that with you.
Oh, that was
And
sweet.
now, sometimes people ask me questions like, hey, you know what? What happens when I say my boundary and I say it harshly? What happens next? And I usually say, well, what happens next is you take a break, you take a moment, and you use the coping skills that you've learned in the Warrior Goddess Boundary Builder, or that I've shared with you in our boundary blueprint. And you take a pause and you ask yourself, what would I love? What would I love? Because you don't want to show up like that unless you want to be that person. You would love to show up this way, but ask yourself, what would I love? And now you want to sit down and get very specific with exactly what you want to say. Okay. So we have to sort this out. And the point of power starts with me. So it's not about our partner. It's not about, using a coping skill and that's the answer, because coping skill is exactly that. It's like a Band-Aid. If I scrape myself, I put that Band-Aid on and it will heal. Like I can use that Band-Aid, I can come back and whatever that situation is, it might heal. But it's not going to solve what's happening in your mindset. Okay. So, but understanding what you would love is the first start in every self-care plan. So anyone have any questions about recognizing what you're feeling or understanding that feeling word, sorting out what you want to say, how to deliver what you want to say, how to stand in your power when that happens? Any other questions?
How to let it go when you've done all of that and it's still, like you said at the very beginning, that little voice is still in your mind and you can't shut it off.
How do you let it go? Okay, that's good feedback. So how do you let that go? You have to be willing, first of all, to let it go. There's something that we talk about in mindset coaching, and this is a coachable moment. It's called secondary value. This sounds weird to everybody, but the brain is a weird organ. Get curious about what the secondary value of hanging on to that is. It might not be a nice value. It might be a really negative value, but we hang on to that because it's familiar. That's where mindset coaching is so important, because we have to understand the reframe, how to reframe that, how to look at that from a different doorway. Jackie, you had a question.
It's not really a question. It's just like when we're upset and when that boundary thing, we think it's that person or that situation that's doing this to us, but how we handle it, that's the underlying question for ourselves.
Yes, how you handle it is the underlying question. Here's the thing, what you show up as is exactly what you're going to get. You're an example for the people around you of what you expect. And when you expect little, you're going to get little. When you expect to be, when you overdo, overgive, if you're the go-to person everybody goes to, you know, you're not showing them this is not okay. So what we expect, how we show up, you're actually, guys, what you're practicing here with your boundaries is you're practicing how to show up authentically so you can teach people how to treat you. If you show up as taking seconds, by the way, women take less than seconds, we're going to receive that. So we have to understand that in our mindset first. That will give you the direction of how you do the thing, Jackie. So you're absolutely right. It's how you do this. But we also, before we get the how into play, we have to look at our mind and what's happening in our mind to create that experience, because our subconscious beliefs yield our external results. Everything was a thought. This sounds familiar, Jolene. Everything was a thought before it became a thing, and everything has been created twice or more. Like a chair was a thought before it became a chair. Now we have lots of chairs. So your thought becomes your experience. And if you continue with that thought and experience, it's going to repeat itself. That's a lot, right? In that was a $350 coaching session right there. Here you go, Jackie, right there. Put it right there. Okay, everybody. I love you guys and thank you. Anybody have questions about the WGBB Inner Circle? I kind of gave you like a brief idea of what this is. Okay. And we can discuss that further in the blueprint session and see if you're a good fit for it. You might be, you might not be. I mean, you could take what you got right here and you're perfectly good with it. I'm going to help you do your blueprint. That might be enough. Or when we do your blueprint, you might say, hey, give me some information. And I'm happy to share that with you too. Okay. And again, I want this to be accessible to you. That's why I've offered a 4-payment system, which is really helpful. All right, everybody. In closing, I want to say thank you. It's been an honor and a blessing to serve you all. I love this work. I love you. And any opportunity I have to help women strengthen their leadership skills, master our feminine energy, and empower ourselves. By the way, a woman standing up as a leader and leading is not masculine energy. That is the warrior goddess feminine energy. That's why I call it warrior goddess. Because there are warriors that are goddesses that are women. That is us, sister. Let's get her done. Let's solve this thing and let's make more money, have more time, have more freedom, have the love that we desire, the relationships that we deserve. Are you in? Everybody say booyah. All right, sending all I love everybody. I will see you in the vision blueprint.